Hello, and welcome back to our corner. Today we have a short story for you titled An Interesting Day. How many years has it been since this happened? I remember being in my early 20s, worrying about work in college, not a kid anymore, but not really an adult. I had been working on this restaurant as a waiter for a few years already and got to meet quite a good number of characters. Some of them came to eat, and some of them worked there. This day was like any other. I'll come in and meet my manager, say hi to my friends, and get all my supplies ready on my station so that I'll be ready to meet the guest. The first thing that I will do was to prepare a pitcher of iced tea and some regular coffee. You need to have those ready from the get go, or you will find yourself in the very awkward position of telling somebody who still hasn't had any caffeine to wait for 10 minutes. Not the best way to give a good first impression. The first few people will usually start coming in as soon as the smell of coffee will get out the door. I will introduce myself and get to work. I should use this opportunity to clarify that this restaurant was a buffet, so my main duties as a waiter were drinks, special orders, and clearing the tables. It never failed that someone would ask for a modified dish. The cooks were never very happy to see us go to them, since it meant more work out of the usual. It was probably around noon when it happened. I had been talking to my manager about her trip to another country. She was very excited to be back, although a little sick, but full of energies to keep dealing with us and the guests. We were talking at the register, and one of the cashiers and another waiter had joined us. Then it happened. Coughing could be heard from one side of the restaurant. Usually this is not something to worry, but when one cough turns into two and then three, you know something is going on. Next thing we know, our manager was coughing too, joining one half of the restaurant. At that moment, we started to move. We ran to the location of the tables and realized that there was a subtle smell around. We followed the smell to one of the vents in the restroom, and at that moment, we got affected by this. We knew something had happened. During the same time that we were looking for the source of the problem, our manager was talking to the people and asking them to step outside the building for safety. We came back to her and told her our findings and proceeded to the nearest phone. We needed to call 911. The other waiter and I got to the phone and had a small discussion on who was going to call. He was chosen. He quickly dialed 911 and explained the situation to the operator. Once that was done, we headed back to the manager since we were ready to leave too. But at that moment, I noticed a couple who was still at the table eating alone in the restaurant. I quickly made my way to them and explained to them that they needed to step outside both for their safety and to follow the instructions of the emergency personnel that were coming. To this day, I still remember how the wife turned to her husband and proceeded to tell him that she was right, and they should have stepped outside. I was really surprised to see that the priority had been their meal in this situation. Finally, it was time for me, the other waiter, and the manager to step outside. We could hear the sirens approaching and the sound of helicopters above us. It was so real. The ambulances came in and started to help people. taking some of them back to the hospital. At the same time, the firemen were inside the building, quickly checking what had happened. People were scared and didn't know what to do. You could see all the employees on their phones calling their loved ones to let them know what had happened, to reassure them not to get scared when they saw the news about the restaurant. It was a small chaos. Once I finished making my phone calls, I turned to my fellow waiter and noticed that he was calm, not worried at all. I asked him about it, and he told me he was pretty sure that the culprit was pepper spray. Apparently, he had been sprayed in the past by his sister. An accident, he reassured me. So he knew the symptoms. A few moments later, a fireman agreed with him. We were safe, but at the same time, this experience had created some scars for people and for the business. Days later, we were talking about it and wondering what happened. Could it have been some kids, a disgruntled employee, a random act? We will never know. The only thing we knew was that this experience had become a memory, an experience that will continue to shape us and prepare us for our future. After all, we are shaped by our experiences, and by them we move forward in a better future. Thank you for listening to our short story. Come and visit us at myuniquestories.com for more poems, short stories, and general talk. Subscribe to this channel for more updates. Thank you and have a wonderful day.